it rolled like it was going to go away, but it did a circle and came back. But I mean fast. It happened and it was on me. And when I looked down, that's when I could see how bad it really was, you know. I just felt the Lord's presence. In my mind, I was just thinking, like, this is your plan for me, Lord? Like, I mean, that's what I was thinking in my head, like, this is going to be pretty tough to cowboy up on this one, you know? I mean, because I knew it was pretty bad. I wasn't quite sure what the outcome was going to be. There's great power in being grateful, because I think human nature is to look at what you don't have.
Yes.
But if you turn that around and you look at what you do have, there's a lot of power in that.
Yeah.
And a blessing in that. And I think that it really is the key to getting back up.
Yeah.
And keeping moving. You know, that's key. Keep moving.
Brandon Riedel, welcome to the show, brother. We've known each other a very short amount of time, but in that short amount of time, I think we've got to know each other's hearts, a little bit about each other's story, and I'm looking forward to hearing the rest. And just as I told Rick, good Rich, who just walked out of here, I'm really excited to see what we're going to be able to do together for and with each other, for others. But what I really wanted to do is, number one, I want to welcome you. Thank you for coming, and I want to hear your story. Like I've told these other guys, man, I'm just going to guide this conversation. This isn't about me. This is about hearing your story today. And let's kick it off, man. Are you a New Braunfels guy, born and raised?
Well, I was born in San Antonio.
Okay.
In 1974, and was taken straight to Spring Branch. I never left there for 34 years. I know every trail out there. But anyways, so that's where I grew up. I went to Smithson Valley High School.
So you graduate 93?
92.
Okay. We're same age, but I was 93.
Yeah, I was the youngest in my class.
Okay.
Or one of the younger ones. I graduated at 17.
Got you.
So
ahead of everybody?
Well, I think the majority. There was only 126 of us in the class of 92.
Yeah.
Which is nowadays, I mean, I don't know if you've seen that place, but it's,
yeah.
They just won the, state championship for the second year in a row.
Yeah.
It's a big deal out there.
Yeah. Is it 6A?
You know, I think it was at one time. I think maybe it went back. I've heard rumors. I don't really keep up with it all, but they're huge. You don't even recognize the campus.
So how was high school for you?
For me, you know, I didn't ever quite fit in. I didn't fit into any one group. I had friends of every kind. You know, everybody kind of puts labels, you know, and when you're that age or whatever. But, you know, I was underdeveloped and I was overweight. So I didn't really grow till after I got out of high school.
Yeah.
So, you know, a couple years after being out, people were like, who's this guy, you know? Because I got tall and kind of filled out, you know. Yeah. But I was chubby and shorter, you know. I didn't really stick out by any means, you know. I kind of blended in. But, you know, I was into ag. I mean, I raised cattle all 4 years. Mm-hmm. But I did a little bit of everything. You know, I was on the golf team and other things. But anyways, high school was fun. I mean, I wasn't really quite ready to leave, actually.
Yeah.
And I was going to stay. And then my buddies were like, what are you doing? I was like, well, I thought maybe being a senior a second time would be fun. What are you, crazy? Like, you grew up with all of us. You should, you know.
Yeah.
So I decided to do well in school and pass.
Well, did you go to college or did you jump straight into the workforce?
You know, my grandparents have always been a big part of my life. You know, my mother had me at such a young age that they kind of raised me.
How old?
She was 17 and still in high school.
Right.
My grandparents told me, we'll send you anywhere you can make the grades, you know. And I'd been running around pretty hard. I was more interested in that than I was school.
All right.
And I kind of knew that wasn't a good idea for me, even though I probably could make the grades to go somewhere respectable.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, you know what, I'm just gonna jump straight. You know, my dad was a custom home builder, and I said, man, I'm just gonna jump in 2 feet first, you know. And I did.
With him?
I did. At 17 years old, I went to work, and I stayed by his side for 19 years until the crash of 2008.
Yeah.
And I mean, my plan was to take his business and run with it, you know. I stayed with him. He needed the help, but I mean, he was teaching me so much and surrounded me by the best of the best in our area, you know.
Yeah.
So the crash hits, and man, it got to where there wasn't anything to do. I mean, if you could get a privacy fence or a gazebo, it was a big deal, you know. After building these huge houses, you know, he built all high end. So you know, I find myself not quite knowing what to do. And I remarried for the second time in 2010. And I married into the Schlitterbahn family. And I never intended to go to work for them.
Yeah.
But for the first time in my life, I couldn't pay my child support on my first 4 children that I had in my first marriage.
Yeah.
So, you know, I knew her dad, but not. Yeah, I mean, I know he's a bit of a wild man.
Yeah.
But, you know, I didn't really know how he operated his business. I mean, I knew he'd been building water parks all over the world, you know.
Wow. Yeah.
So anyways, I heard he was flying. They had built the water park in Kansas City. And he had just bought Camp Warnke, which is a big deal there on the Comal River for people that grew up here, right?
Okay.
And he bought that whole piece of land, and he had put the money together to start a massive project. And so I went to work for him, and you know, I was kind of nervous. I didn't quite know what I was getting into, you know. Actually, he called me. He hired me on a Friday afternoon, and he calls me at I think it's 9:30 at night, that same night, with the water explosion down in his parents', and we're out there in the dark for several hours. And I just remember thinking, what did I get myself into here? You know, I didn't even make it to the first day of work, and we have a catastrophe, you know.
Okay.
But anyways, it was interesting bonding time with him.
Fun?
I had a blast, you know. It started off that way, and it never changed.
Really?
I mean, the people, it's a whole tight-knit family, basically.
Yeah.
And these guys, most of them have traveled the world with him. So
Now, how many different water parks are there in the Schlitterbahn family?
well, there were 5, you know, but we were building number 5 in Corpus Christi, and we went bankrupt on that project, and the bank took it back. It's a whole big story, right? But actually, the death in Kansas City, most people have heard about it. A boy got decapitated on a ride, and it was the son of the Secretary of State
Of
Kansas. So, I mean, they had like some kind of I don't know what you call it, like a government. I mean, all these people came, and it was actually, you got in free that day.
Yeah.
And it was a serious, serious catastrophe. I mean, the boy's head rolled to the end of the ride, and his brother was at the bottom of the slide. So, I mean,
Yeah.
anyways, that started the downward spiral of Schlitterbahn. You know, it took some time to play out. You know, we were down there for, I think we worked on that water park in Corpus for 3 years, if I remember right. And it was a big deal. I mean, it was the hotel was 185,000 square foot, and all kinds of rides and whatnot. It was a really cool experience.
And you say that he was buying Camp Warnicki for a major project. Was that before or after Corpus?
That was before Corpus.
And that project was?
Well, we were building. Well, first we had to remove all of the Camp Warnicki cabins, and I remember when he hired me. He goes, "Can you move houses?" I said, "No, sir. I've only built houses." He goes, "Well, you're moving them," and I thought, "What?" So the first day I kind of went and scoped out the job site. I was going to start on Monday. I went over there just to see, like, where am I going?
Yeah.
What does it look like? I was a little nervous,
Yeah.
I'd been with my dad so long.
Yeah.
So I go over there, I kind of look around, I'm like, wow, man, there's a lot to do here, And there were 60 Camp Warnicki cabins.
And what was Camp Warnicki?
It was a place like an overnight rental type place.
All right.
But they weren't like individual cabins. There'd be like a building, and they would have common walls run every so often. So there might be like 5 units under one roof, right? And so when starting, we were tearing off all the roofs, and they weren't built to move. So when you'd move the first one, and there'd be 4 walls, but then the next one would have 3 walls. So you basically have to frame a beam in for the floor, and then wall it out, and then we would sheathe it so you could move that one. Anyways, I show up the first day, and he never even shows up, and I'm thinking, I don't know anybody.
And there's no intro.
There was no introduction. So, I just jump up on a roof and start doing what the other guys are doing, basically.
Yeah.
And about 1:30 that afternoon, he shows up. And I thought, man, this guy, he's strange, but
Meaning?
well, you just don't know what to expect from this,
Yeah.
I've heard stories and stuff, but anyways, he says, now tomorrow I'm going to be here and get ready. We're going to move this first one, and it's just going to be me and you. And I'm thinking, is he joking? Or, this guy's worth a lot of money, right? What in the world?
Yeah.
I was like, is he trying to bond with his son-in-law, or are we getting to know each other?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what's going on, right? Anyways, I think it took us 3 days to move the first one. And by the 3rd day, we were screaming at each other, not really fighting or whatever, but we had 2 machines up underneath it. And, of course, he's driving the nicer machine. Mine kind of delays when and we were trying to work in synchrony. But, we both had headpieces on, because the tractors are pretty loud, and it was stressful having a building up in the air and not being,
Yeah.
So, we were, and I thought, oh boy, this is going to get interesting, and, a couple times I found myself right on the edge of being in a pretty dangerous situation, and he didn't ever say anything, and I thought, this isn't like working for my dad. My dad wouldn't even let me get that close to that edge.
Give me an example.
Well, one time we had something way up in the air, and I got pretty close. I mean, you never want to put yourself in a position if a hydraulic line breaks or something, because it'll fall to the ground, and if you're under it, you're going to get hurt.
Yeah.
Anyways, I remember putting myself in that position to where I was right there. And I don't know that I was testing him, but in that moment I realized he's not protecting me like my dad was. Is what basically is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, gotcha.
Anyways, there are different playing rules, and you're learning those things as you. So we moved. The first one took 3 days. We start moving the second one, and then the third one. By the time we got to the third one, we had it figured out. And he pretty much said, all right, man, sayonara. This is your crew. I want you to move all 60. Get to it. And he left. So
how much of a time frame did you have those done in?
That's a good question.
Any idea? I'm assuming it got faster as you went.
Well, he ended up getting a 40K machine, right?
Yeah.
And in that machine, you could just drive up and pick it up. You know,
All right.
they weren't real. I mean, we didn't have anything over 36 foot long.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, when you first start doing that, I mean, I had to build fork extensions to be able to reach the beam on the other side, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of scary when you first start doing it. Matter of fact, you learn real quick when you start trying to bring in fill and fill in low areas or whatever. That stuff isn't compacted, so you get a big load like that.
Mm-hmm.
You can be going right around and then, whoo, you know, and you don't.
Yeah.
It's just scary being
Yeah.
in a seat like that and having that kind of weight pull you. You're not really going anywhere because you don't have it real high off the ground. The worst thing that can happen is you kind of tilt up, the building hits, but you don't know all that when you're first starting, you know.
Yeah.
But anyways, it was a blast. I mean, we got to some areas where there was big trees and, you know, there was different things to maneuver around, and it was not flat. I mean, it
Yeah.
changed, you know.
Yeah.
So, you know, you had to think about it, and I learned right quick. It's a lot easier to excavate and keep it solid rather than, you know, be putting fill in areas to try to maneuver things.
Yeah.
But, you know, I moved all 60, and he started building, what they call the falls. I guess it's the longest man-made river in the world, is what he claims. Or
Wow.
I think it's true.
Wow.
He always tries to build the biggest, best, right? And he has
Impressive.
that title on many things.
Yeah.
But, anyways, we were building this river. Well, they started building this river, and I think it's over a half mile long. And anyways, I hadn't been there that long, you know, and I see them meeting contractors because they're going to start all these tree houses. And, you know, I was just watching because I'm very familiar with that. When you start talking about building things, I mean, that's what I know about, you know.
And you're, again, early 20s right now, or
No,
younger than that?
I think I was 38 when I married in 2010.
Okay.
I think that's about right.
So you left your dad doing business with your dad at what point? How old were you?
Well, pretty much when the collapse happened.
All right.
You know, so I kind of found odd jobs and whatnot for a couple of years, but I was struggling. There wasn't, you know, nothing big. I mean, in the very beginning, we found a couple good-sized remodels, but it just seemed to get more and more scarce, you know. And so he was flying in carpenters from Kansas is what he was doing. And he's paying pretty good money.
Mm-hmm.
And so really I just was like, well, I framed a lot of houses. If you want me to bang nails, man, that's what I started doing. I can do that all day long. Yeah, I just need to make a living, really.
Yeah.
But anyways, I see them bringing in contractors and stuff to look at plans and talk about these tree houses, and I'm just watching from a distance. And finally, one day, I was talking to the architect, and I said, man, a lot of these guys you're bringing, they're not, you know, I know most people from around here. I'd like to see some of your numbers on some of these things, you know, because I'm not real familiar with some of these guys. And anyways.
And when you say numbers, you mean what?
Well, what are they charging?
Got it.
And they showed them to me, and I was like, these prices are pretty high, man. I said, why don't you let me give you 2 contractors of every trade, and you let these guys bid it that I know. And so that's what happened. And every person I gave them had the best price. and I knew they were reputable. So the next thing you know, I found my father-in-law. He came up to me and he goes, well, all your guys say that they would prefer to work with you over us because they know you. You think you can run this project? And I said, I know I can. And so that right there was the start of building the tree houses, the 7 tree houses there on the side of the Comal River.
Very cool, man.
Yeah,
And they're still there today, right?
they are. They turned out beautiful.
Yeah.
Anyways, it was a blast, man. I mean, there's so much activity with that many guys. He had 86 men employed at the time.
And you're running that whole team?
Well, he doesn't really do anything conventional, you know. He has large groups of guys and pretty much a leader over that group. And, you know, I was basically over those tree houses 100%. But, you know, guys are being robbed and put over here, and there's an emergency. You know, there's so much going on. And, of course, his say trumps everyone's, right?
Sure.
So it's a moving target out there, man. I mean, we had those 86 guys, but we also had 13 contractors, and then we had D&M Construction, which they're a big outfit, and they had all their equipment there. So how many guys are actually there? I'm not sure, but it really, we were just getting warmed up because when we went to Corpus, we had more than twice that, or maybe 3 times that. It was unreal to try to keep up with. I think we had 275 men out there.
And Corpus was how far behind the tree houses?
Well, this guy, well, let's see. Man, I would have to look on the dates of pictures, you know.
But is it several years?
Yeah. Yeah, there was a fella named Paul Shakesneiler. I think I'm saying that right. And he was watching that New Braunfels. I think he'd been watching the Henrys for a long time, and he's the guy that owned all the real estate down there. And he really wanted to, he had a 18-hole golf course, and he was wanting to build this hotel and all these things, you know. And so he was watching how we did things, and I would see him all the time. I mean, he watched very closely, and they actually ended up making a deal. But you know, that's talking about all those details. We'd be here all day. But you know, it was cool to meet a guy that has that much land, and you know, in like a prominent area, and had the kind of money to do that type of development, you know. And then for what he was doing, you know, he probably picked the right people, you know, because that Schlitterbahn there in New Braunfels is #1 in the world 25 years in a row. So, I mean, if you're
Incredible.
trying to build a water park, I'd say they're top guys, you know.
All right, there's one here, Kansas City.
And yeah, there's New Braunfels and Kansas City and Galveston, and then South Padre Island, and then Corpus Christi. Now, the Corpus Christi, IBC Bank took it, and then I guess they auctioned it, and some lady bought it, and they tore everything down, which she made it a residential. I hear she made a lot of money on that deal, but it's just after putting that kind of work towards something.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought maybe we'd had a legacy there to show my grandkids or something, you know, but.
Yeah. You said it was a good 3.5 years down there?
I remember it being 3 years. That's, you know, I might be off, right?
Yeah.
Don't quote me, but I think that's about how much time we had in it.
But it didn't impact any of the others?
No, but, you know, when you file bankruptcy, you know, I think it accelerated some other banknotes, and, you know, I don't know how much all that's thought through. You know, when you have a lot of family working together, you know, I was privy to a lot of things, but it gets complicated, man.
I bet.
With family, and especially when things are crashing, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of finger pointing and a lot of stories, and, you know, I certainly don't want to repeat anything that's, maybe too personal.
You bet.
Right?
Yeah, I'm with you.
But yeah, I mean, being an insider and seeing all that happening, and I just remember flying around on airplanes. We were going to court for the death of the kid. I think we went 19 times to Kansas City.
And you went?
Yeah, and one of those trips, we sat there and they started tearing down that ride in Kansas City. And so to see a crane taking that down after all the work we put on that, I mean, obviously they're not going to let it run anymore, right? It's the tallest, fastest ride in the world. Another one of these. And the name was Verrückt, however you say it. It's a German for insane. And I guess it was insane,
Yeah.
Because you would go over 70 miles an hour in a boat down this thing that was, I mean.
How high? Or any idea?
I think it was around 160 feet, but I could be wrong. It's in that neighborhood. I think it would go 72 miles an hour.
Mm-hmm.
That boat lifted, let's see, it went down, and then it had a hump, and then that boat lifted, I believe it, on the first up, and it had hoops, right, with nets. Anyways, when the boat lifted, that hoop basically acted as his head.
Understood.
Just took it off, man. I guess at that speed.
And did that close, or was that Kansas City? Okay, it's still
I
open.
don't quite know what all happened.
Yeah.
My father-in-law's brother got that, and I know he was selling a lot of the real estate around there, and they took that ride down. And
Yeah.
I don't know that water park's even open. I think I'm not positive.
Yeah.
I had so much going on with trying to keep up with Jeff and our personal businesses, and having 10 children of my own is a whirlwind. I mean, my wife had breast cancer. At one point, my father-in-law was in jail. It was crazy. I mean, we were about to start a big project to connect with our river business. We had the whole thing designed, and we had an SBA loan, and we were 3 weeks from breaking ground. And the next thing you know, he's in jail, and my wife gets diagnosed with breast cancer. And basically threw her hands up. And, when you have a piece of real estate like that, I would just sat there and bled to death for about a year. I mean, you got to do something with it,
Yeah.
And
what does your immediate family look like at this point, as far as kids, you, her?
Well,
And I mean, at that point, how many did you have?
we had 10. When we married, we each had 4.
All right.
And then we had 2 together. So it was a Brady bunch, yours, mine, and ours.
Yeah.
And you couldn't tell that they weren't related. They looked
Is that right?
just like each other, and it wasn't like it didn't just happen overnight. At first, when cousins would come over or whatnot, you could see that it was this group would be kind of with the cousins, and then my kids were kind of left out, and I remember one day it was amazing. We were laying on the beach there underneath the Master Blaster in New Braunfels, and it was so crowded. And at that moment, we saw the kids working together as a team to get through the crowd, and they were helping each other, and we just looked at each other and kind of smiled that our family came together. Anyways.
Very cool.
It was very cool.
Yeah.
So, what a journey, man, trying to keep up with all the, sports and schools, and just taking them to school in the morning. I had 4 different schools, and then I'd get to one, and one didn't have their shoes on. A couple of them didn't want to wear shoes ever, And then I'd be like, what? You have to go back home, It's pretty wild.
I can't imagine.
Yeah, and the whole time I'm usually on the phone with my father-in-law talking about jobs and kids yelling in the backseat. I mean, it's wild. Full blast, man, full throttle,
And these kids, most of them adults now? Most of them are, aren't
All
they?
of them are, but 2. The two youngest ones are 12 and 14.
All right.
But the rest of them are either out of college or in college, and they're spread out all over. One of them, real proud of her. Well, I'm proud of all of them. But, I mean, she got her bachelor's, her master's, and she's about to have her PhD. I mean, smart kids, and all different. They all have different ideas and what they want to do and different personalities. And I see why old people like sitting back and just watching, because you get to watch them make their decisions in life, you know?
Yeah.
And do your best to guide them when you know, when they want to hear your opinion.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, yeah, it's definitely a journey, and a lot of things have happened along the way that were not expected as life
Yeah.
happens, you know.
What stands out?
Well, you know, we had one of our children pass away to cancer.
What kind of cancer?
I believe my son had leukemia. You know, I don't know all the details because of how things played out, you know. It's pretty rough.
Tell me what that means.
Well, it means I was put in jail for several months and put in a mental hospital and different things. And I had another daughter have a nervous breakdown, you know. I had police follow me everywhere I went, and she lost it, man. They took her and put her in a facility as well. So, you know, coping is basically, if you go throw a rock at a hornet's nest, that's what it was. It was ducking and weaving.
Yeah.
And it went on for quite some time, you know. Think now, you know, then I have my accident 3 months after my son dies. 3 months, 1 day.
Okay. And I don't know if we got to this point, but was he 19?
He was 20.
All right. And 3 months later, you have the accident?
Yes.
What happened?
Well, my wife and I had split, and I more or less was homeless for about a year. I mean, not that I don't have family, but I mean, I didn't have a place to call my own. So I'd live with this daughter for a week and maybe stay in my truck at night and go over, you know. I kept thinking, well, we're going to get this settled and I'll get a real place, you know. Well, we still haven't settled it, but, you know, eventually I was like, I guess I'm just going to rent a place, you know. I don't see this being over anytime soon, you know. And so I signed the contract on an apartment, you know, which was kind of strange for me. I've owned my own home since 1998 was my first home I bought, right? So I hadn't been in an apartment since 1995. So I signed this lease and go to move in on March 1st. And, you know, I start moving in and whatnot. I remember it was a weekend. So I was going to run down to the bank and at least cash my paycheck or whatever, right? And when I'm about to pull in to the bank, I see a job site, and there's a beautiful pecan tree out on the front corner, you know. So, I mean, I'm real familiar with job sites. So I pull up in my truck, and I wave down a guy on a dozer, you know. The guy comes pulling up. I say, hey, man, what are you doing with this tree? You guys going to just haul it off, aren't you? And he goes, yeah, actually, we got an excavator coming. We're going to bust it up and put it in a dumpster. I said, well, then I guess you wouldn't mind if I took it. He said, no. He goes, could you get a trailer here? I said, I can have one and be back inside 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to a guy's house that I'd been working with, and I grabbed a 40-foot gooseneck and went over there, and he loaded it on the trailer. And I had just got it tied down, and then the foreman pulls up. And, you know, we meet or whatever. And he's like, what do you do with these trees? I was like, well, we mill them. We build out of them. And he goes, well, man, I have a bunch of trees on other job sites. Would you be interested in those? I said, absolutely. He goes, well, I don't know if they've gotten rid of them or what. He goes, let me go look on Monday, but I'll get with you and let you know. Can you come Monday? I said, sure. So anyways, I hear from him, and but he doesn't really want me coming out there and messing up, I guess, activity. He goes, I want you to come towards the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
I said, okay. And I had a buddy that was going to go with me, which canceled kind of like last minute. He had got caught up in something. I don't remember what it was, but anyways, I grabbed all my chainsaws. I got that same 40-foot trailer, and I head out to a job site that's right in my neck of the woods where I grew up, right out there, real close to Smithson Valley High School. And, I pull in on the job site, and you could see all kinds of activity. I went up to the they kind of had a foreman's office or whatever. And he came out, he goes, you're here for the trees? I said, yeah. Or maybe I said, I'm here for the trees. And he said, okay, they're over here. That's how it went. So he said, hey, I'm going to have this guy help you load. And he was a younger guy, maybe like in his 20s or whatnot, something like that. He had a 10,000-pound loader that he was going to use to pick these trees up. Anyways, man, I swung around with the trailer, got up close, and the trees had been taken out of the ground with an excavator. And so they had the root balls still attached to the tree. And, like at the tree houses at Schlitterbahn or whatever, on some of the real nice trophy trees, we'll leave those intact and use them as a column underneath, and keep all the character. And then we pour concrete around them and put rocks, and it's a real cool look. But they're real heavy, and they're usually full of dirt and gravel. So the dirt falling on the road, if you're going to be driving on streets, you can get a ticket. And then gravel, a lot of times, will bounce and crack people's windshields, like how the 18-wheelers throw gravel. So these didn't look like a candidate for that. And so I decided I was going to cut the roots off. And, I went cutting. I had a big saw, and I went cutting on the one side, and it started to pinch my blade. So I went around to the other side, and I was going to undercut it. And I really wasn't that worried about it, because the trunk of the tree was so large. I mean, worst thing, it was going to just fall against the tree, is what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
And typically, I would have had an operator come and put the bucket on the root ball, just to be certain, right? But I didn't know this guy, and I didn't really know his skill set, and I figured if he's not a good operator, that might be more dangerous. I don't really want him up that close to me. I don't know him, So anyways, I go around to that other side, and I go to undercut, and it's about a 3-inch cut. That's all I had left. And so I had a sharp blade on that thing. It went right through it. Well, the roots, the way I remember it, as high as the ceiling. And it didn't lean on the trunk like I thought. It rolled like it was going to go away, but it did a circle and came back. But I mean fast, and it just crushed me. I mean, I'm pretty agile. I thought, I could jump out of the way. Or, that's what you think in your head, like if you needed to or something, right? Yeah. It happened, and it was on me. And I remember that kid run over, and he tried to grab it. I mean, I think it was thousands of pounds, right? Didn't budge or anything. And I was coherent. I remember.
Conscious the whole time?
The whole time. I remember. I said, go get that machine and roll it off of me. But it's a smooth bucket, so be very careful. There weren't teeth on it, is what I'm saying. I was like, you can drop it right back down on me real easy.
Yeah.
So he did a real good job. He come up and was real gentle with it and got a good grip on it, and he rolled it off of me. And when I looked down, that's when I could see how bad it really was,
Before we get there, how long were you underneath the tree? And what did you do? What was your thoughts?
Well, what were my thoughts?
Yeah.
Well, I think I had a lot of adrenaline going, and I didn't really feel any pain, actually. Once I got him directed and I was waiting on him, I just remember laying there and not really having any fear whatsoever. I just felt the Lord's presence. And in my mind, I was just thinking, like, this is your plan for me, Lord? Like, I mean, that's what I was thinking in my head. Like, this is going to be pretty tough to cowboy up on this one, you know? I mean, because I knew it was pretty bad. I wasn't quite sure what the outcome was going to be.
Yeah.
Anyways, once he rolled it off of me, I looked down and my leg was broke about where the shin is. And basically it made a 90-degree turn. My leg did. And when I looked down at my arm, the wrist was broken. 2 fingers were gone. I guess just crushed, gone.
Yeah.
I mean, there wasn't much. And I was bleeding out pretty good on the arm. And I did have a belt on, but I had a bandana right here. And I just knew a bandana would be easier to make a tourniquet, right? So I untied it, and I went around and tied it, like with my teeth.
Yeah.
And then I went around, and then I just cinched down with one hand like so. And I basically held it for about 25 minutes till the ambulance got there. They were coming from Canyon Lake, but it wasn't happening fast, you know?
Yeah.
So I just try not to look at everything. I just tried to concentrate on keeping real good, even pressure and just trying to make it till they got there, you know?
Were other people gathering around at this point? Was anybody else there but
Nobody wanted
him?
to get close, man.
Really?
That foreman, I saw him run outside and call 911, but he was staying.
Really?
Yeah, and then the other guys, they were down quite a bit further, several hundred yards,
Okay.
kind of down the slope, right? There's really only 2 guys even in the vicinity, the foreman and the younger guy.
Yeah.
So, eventually here come the ambulance. And if I remember right, there were 5 guys. And they had some kind of industrial scissors. And they cut the boot off of the broken leg. Again, it's a pretty heavy boot, right? And that leg was kind of floppy.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what they did. They cut that boot off, and they got it off. And they brought a gurney out there, and the 5 guys picked me up to put me on there. And that's when I really felt the pain, when they went to move me. They took me to the back of the ambulance and put me on I don't remember I think they transferred me maybe onto like a bed that was in there.
Yeah.
Or maybe they just set it on top. I can't quite remember, but I do remember driving out of there, and every bump on that dirt road was torture, basically. And I just remember him saying, "Don't worry, I'm fixing to hit you with," I think it was morphine, right? So I don't even remember getting to the highway. I mean, the highway wasn't 100 yards.
Yeah.
They had me out. And then I woke up in a helicopter over San Antonio. And it was a military helicopter, no doors on it. So you could see, kind of like the movies, right?
Hmm.
And I looked up at the guy, and I just remember he had this white helmet with 2 orange stripes. And he was like, "Hold on. We're going to have you there in 6 minutes." And my thoughts at that moment were like, I was just so grateful for those first responders, because I was just sitting there thinking, like, without them, I might not be alive. And then so in that moment, I realized, like, man, if there's anything I could do to help people in the future, that's what I want to do. Like, I want to make a difference. And that's the thoughts that I had right then and there. And I don't remember landing or anything. I don't know. Maybe I went out again. I don't remember a landing pad or anything. Next thing I know is I'm going down a hallway in a hospital with bright lights, and they were moving fast, and they took me straight into a surgery room with about 10 or 12 surgeons in there. So, people say, well, were you right-handed? Later they ask, how did you learn to write with your left hand? I was like, well, there wasn't much choice. If you wanted a blood transfusion, I basically had to scratch it out, because that's what they say. You want a blood transfusion? Sign here.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how it went down,
And that was right away?
It was immediate.
Yeah.
They put me out. I woke up with no hand. They cut my hand off, which I'm not quite sure how you'd make that look good anyways, with 2 fingers missing. And I think that was probably the best decision. But, I had the nerves, like even though it was wrapped up in a crazy cast, I really didn't know if I still had a hand or not, because I could still feel like I could move my fingers and stuff. But I was so on the anesthesia, I couldn't even see from me to you. Everything was blurry, and I could hear the voices, but I couldn't actually make out people's faces. And that only happened on the first time. I had 13 surgeries, but it only happened on the very first one that it was ever that like that. The rest, when I would wake up, I could see, and so I don't know if they hit me extra hard on that one, or if my body just wasn't used to it, or I'm not sure. But so I'm not sure how long I was in recovery or whatever. They basically came to me and they were like, we're not the right people to deal with that leg. We want to transfer you to University Hospital. And sure enough, they rolled me into an ambulance and sent me over there. And I want to say I probably had 4 surgeries on the leg. They put rods and bolts, and they had it all straight, and they even had a pulse and everything. They'd have like a little deal. They would check your blood flow, but I couldn't move any toes or anything. Anyways, I was hopeful that maybe I'd keep my leg,
Yeah.
And one night, all the machines, beep, 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 and about 5 nurses run in. And they're like, his organs are shutting down. He's rejecting I pretty much knew what was coming. I could smell the gangrene on my leg. There was a smell I will never forget.
Any idea how many days after the accident this was? Is this a week or 2?
Probably. It's pretty blurry.
It's okay.
But every time you're going to have a surgery, you can't eat for 24 hours. Yeah. And so that all didn't happen real fast.
Yeah.
Because you do one surgery and then you wait, you got to get in line. And then sometimes they'll move you up depending on, how serious your issue is.
Yeah.
If it's life-threatening, maybe they'll rush you. But they're juggling a lot of balls, with different surgeons and all the different priorities, right? So, yeah, they rushed me in on that one. They just cut my leg off. And in one of those surgeries, they cut me from my knee from about 1 inch to my private part. I woke up, I saw this, they had staples down my leg, and I guess they took that artery and they put it over here in this other leg to try to make it, try to help me keep it, right? Well, the issue that I had is that I got an infection on this other leg. And really it was down closer to the knee. So I can't remember if it happened 2 or 3 times, but they would take me into surgery, and they would just kept going deeper, cutting the flesh out, trying to get the infection out.
Yep.
And they did it twice, and I think it was infected on it for a 3rd time, and they were like, man, if we can't stop it, we might have to cut that leg off too. And I were just at that point. I mean, I was doing. I mean, I held it together. I never really ever felt like things were out of control or anything. But I just remember thinking when they were going to take a second leg, I was just like, whoa, that hadn't come into my mind. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, I was praying the entire time through all of it, and anyhow, they got it stopped, thank God, because I know how hard it is missing one leg. I can't imagine missing both. I mean, I see these guys doing it. My hat's, total respect, man. Like, I know I could do it if I had to do it.
Yeah.
I just don't want to do it.
Yeah.
And I met that guy the other night that you introduced me to, and I probably told him, and I know at least 3 times, I just couldn't believe it, how strong he was, how long he could stand, what he was doing. I was just like, man, brother, respect. People, they don't quite know what it takes to do this stuff,
Yeah.
I don't think everybody can do it.
I don't either.
It takes a certain kind of person, and that's God-given. We don't get to choose what we get or don't get, But I'm very grateful that I am able to walk and am able to take care of myself.
Yeah.
Because they had to do that for me for a long time. And
Had you
it's
met
a pretty helpless feeling.
Had you met or talked to any other amputees other than at the hospital until you met Travis?
Well, that buddy, while I was laying in the hospital bed, I reconnected with a childhood neighbor that had an infection on his leg, and he was below the knee, but this infection that he got, they were talking about cutting him above the knee, right? So he's laying in the bed in Nashville. He got the same blood vacuum on. We see each other on Facebook, and we end up calling each other. We're both laid up in hospital. I hadn't talked to him in 31 years.
Wow.
And anyways, he starts showing me the ropes, basically. Like, I didn't know anything about any of this kind of stuff. I mean, I have a brother-in-law that is a prosthetist that was a wonderful consultant to me. But his company wouldn't actually allow him to work on family, and I understand that.
All right.
But anyways, so to answer your question that you originally asked, I had not met any amputees. So he basically connected me to the amputee world on Facebook, and so I'm watching these amputees all over the world, and I get to see their questions and their remedies and everybody interact, and what a wonderful thing, because
Yep.
you're like, hey, man, look at all these people. Look what they're dealing with.
And learning from each other.
Basically, and seeing that you're not alone.
Yep.
And I saw this camp that was in Spain where it's kind of like a getaway. They got these boats they take you out on, and these luxury hotels and all, eating fine dining and all this stuff. Anyways, I reached out to him one day, and I'm like, dude, you want to go to this island? And he's like, I can't afford that. I was like, oh, it's expensive, huh? He said, well, why don't you, if you're willing to travel like that, why don't you I'm going to a triathlon in November. You want to come watch? And I said, well, absolutely, man. I'd love to come meet the people. So, with going through my divorce and whatnot, it was good to have something to think about other than that.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I'm practicing every morning, writing, and, I'm trying to learn how to walk. And in my mind, I'm thinking, well, maybe I can do one leg of the triathlon, or, maybe I can do I don't think I can run the 5K, but maybe I can walk it,
And he wasn't expecting you to do that, right? You just thought, meh.
Well, he wasn't even planning on doing it. I think I don't. I think he just wanted to go introduce
Right.
me. And
Yeah.
anyways, I start doing this stuff, and as I get better, I thought, you know what? I'm gonna start riding a bike. Let's see what I can do, right? And then I'm like, I still have time, right? I got my leg the second week in July of 2024. And so basically, I just devote all my time to training. And eventually, I'm swimming with one arm and one leg. I'd have a float, that's underneath my arms. I kind of modified a floating device,
Mm-hmm.
kind of customized it.
Mm-hmm.
And as I kind of got going, I ended up getting a flipper. So the one leg that I could kick with, I'd get a little bit propel.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, you know what? If you can do one lap, just try to do two tomorrow. And that's what I did every day. And then it was three, and then it was four, and then it was the next thing you know, I was swimming 40, and this pool's 135 foot long. And so I thought, it was getting close, pretty close. So I think the last week I started doing all three in one day. I never could do, I could do like maybe the 5K and it would exhaust me, right? And I couldn't even look at a bike. But that last week I started doing all three events, and then I went there and I was just like really hopeful that maybe I could complete it and it could be a part of my story.
And where was the triathlon?
It was in San Diego, California.
Okay.
And he had worked for the Challenge Athlete Foundation years prior. Yes.
Your friend that took you?
Yes, he had. He had lived, at one time he was in California, and he worked for that organization. So he knew everybody, and he basically got a free airfare and free hotels and all this stuff, right? So we leave on, I think it was the day before Halloween. He kind of knew. He goes, look, with traveling and getting there and getting set up, you don't want to go, you want a day or two to come decompress when you get there, and then maybe a day after on leaving. But we get there to check in, and I was told we were going to both have our own room, and then they're like, well, we only have one room for you guys. So, I knew him, but I hadn't really seen him in 31 years. I'm thinking, what kind of weird habits does this guy have, that I don't know about?
Yeah.
So we go in this same room, and actually, we had a ball.
Yeah.
We enjoyed every minute together. He had this funny little sweet tooth he'd get every night. He would be going out and getting cake or cookie. It was pretty cool. And there, since we were there at Halloween, they basically dressed up the whole week, so seeing all the costumes and.
Yeah.
But what a thing, man. They're raising money. So that organization has been going for, let's see, for 31 years, and they've raised $281 million in 31 years that they've given back to amputees to improve their lives.
And the name one more time of that organization?
It's, Challenge Athletes Foundation, and it's CAF is what you'll see on a lot of the shirts, right? So, I don't know, hundreds of amputees, all different situations.
And everybody's there for the triathlon.
Everyone was there. And then they had all these clinics before the triathlon. So if you wanted to go learn how to surf, or if you wanted to go, you go see amputees surfing. I'm like, what in the world? You see, it's crazy.
Yeah.
And they got, wheelchairs out there with balloon tire. They have every gadget you could think of for these people.
Yeah.
I met a black boy that was missing all four limbs. And when he did the triathlon, he had 2 running blades. He was amazing.
Any idea what happened to him?
I don't remember his story. I'm not even sure I got to talk to him. I was close to him.
Yeah.
But there's so many people. But I just remember sitting there like thinking, man, I don't have it so bad after all. I don't know, man. I think there's great power in being grateful, because and I think human nature is to look at what you don't have.
Yes.
But if you turn that around and you look at what you do have, there's a lot of power in that,
Yeah.
and blessing in that. And I think that it really is the key to getting back up
Yeah.
and keeping moving. That's key. Keep
Yeah.
moving.
I've always
Because
said, and I said this in an interview before, but if you haven't heard it, I've always said that I think if we all took our stuff and if we had a big Santa bag that we could put all our crap in, and we all stood in a in a massive circle and we just slung it in the middle, and you saw what spills out of some of those bags, I think we'd pick our bag up and walk away and say, I think I can deal with what I'm dealing with rather than deal with that. So it sounds like you got a lot of perspective out there, and
it helped tremendously seeing other people. And
yeah,
it's it's like any other club, right? Like classic car club, or you see each other on the road and
Yeah.
you honk and wave. When you meet people
Yeah.
that have been through it like that,
Yeah.
it's like an instant family.
That's right.
And all these connections were made. I was, well, they had just come from Paris. They had done the Paralympics just a few weeks prior, right?
They,
Of a lot of
a
these
bunch of them?
serious characters, right? So like Ryan, see if I can remember his name, Ryan Tolson Garcia or Ryan Garcia. No, Ryan Tolson Garcia. That guy's missing both his legs, and he's like a 4-time gold medalist. And
yeah,
that's the first guy I met when I got there. They were telling me his name. I'm like, I don't know him from Adam, basically.
and you did the triathlon?
I did it, and I finished it. And it was 7 months, 28 days from my accident. So I don't know. I do think I came in last. I didn't see anyone else. They almost didn't let me go on the run was the last of the three,
Yeah.
I just told them, they're like, well, we're about to start picking up. I said, man, please let me on there. I want to finish this thing,
Yeah.
And they're, well, there's no one to really guide you. I'll give you a map, but
Wow.
anyways, I was persistent, and I did finish.
Incredible.
And it's part of my story.
Yeah.
But I do remember feeling like a car ran over me when I was done.
Yeah, I bet.
Of course, on the swimming, it was the only one you had the option to go a half mile or do the full mile. And that was the first leg, right? And I did the full mile. And maybe I wouldn't have come in last if I wouldn't have done that. But I did, and because I just wanted to do the best I could. And I felt they had hot chicks on surfboards every now and then, I thought, yeah, worst case scenario, you just grab onto a surfboard, But
Yeah.
I never had to.
Man, that's impressive. Much respect.
It was fun.
Yeah. Coming back from that, what's next? Where did you go from there?
Well,
And I also want to back up and let's talk about how you got your prosthetic leg. Because you didn't have insurance at the time, correct?
well, no, I did not. So initially, it was 35 days in the hospital and 10 surgeries. And I was reporting back about twice a week. They were watching, when I left the hospital, they gave me 20 different types of medications. I was actually taking 13. Some of those were like, well, if you get nausea, take this, or. So 7 of them I never touched, but I did have them if I needed them. So I'm on 13 different medications. So yeah, they want to monitor me, And thank God my daughter lived next door. I really didn't have the money to have a in-house nurse or someone coming and checking on me or whatever. My daughter, first of all, she never left my side in the hospital. And then she took care of me. She did all my bandages. And what's so cool about all that, not only was she great at it, and we we were already so close, but I think you form a bond
Yeah.
that is irreplaceable when you go through something like that and you depend on someone like that. That exposure led her to wanting to be a nurse, and she just finished her first semester of school and had straight A's. So I'm so proud of her, and it just shows you how God's working all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
I don't know that she would have had that type of exposure without that
Sure.
experience, right? So,
Just another example of what I've noticed, and I'm sure you noticed that so many people find their mission and their purpose through trauma and tragedy. It's another great example.
yeah, a lot of times they redirect. They're going this way, and then
Yeah.
all of a sudden they're on a whole nother path.
Yeah.
I've met several people like that.
Yeah.
So, anyways, so sometime around, I think it was about 6 weeks, I'm doing my regular checkups. I go there I was right at the end. Like I thought, all right, Well, they check me and they say, you have an infection. And we're going to have to do a surgery, open you back up. And I remember some profanity coming out of my mouth at the time. I was like, I was so ready to start being active, and they were basically going to cut me open again. But he says, hey, don't worry. It's like a 2-hour, it's in and out. You'll leave the same day. So he goes, we got to do it tomorrow. This is serious. And he goes, if you don't do it, you're going to ooze pus. He goes, the guy right before you that just left, he wouldn't reopen it. He's been oozing pus for 4 years. He goes, you won't be able to wear prosthetics. And I'm like, all right, do it then. So he goes, you're coming in tomorrow. So I go in and wake up with a tube down my throat in the ICU. They're like, we had serious complications, and it's a lot worse than we thought it was. And we didn't finish the infection's 4 inches up into your bone. We're going to have to cut off another, I think they said 10 centimeters, which is about 4.5 inches, if I recall. So they're talking about cutting another 4.5 inches off my leg. And they tell me this, well, that was on that, remember I went in there on a Friday?
Mm-hmm.
So basically they want me to sit there all weekend. And they don't want to do the next surgery till Monday. So I called my brother-in-law, you know what I mean? And because I was like,
Is he the prosthetist?
He's the prosthetist. And I remember I FaceTimed him, and my sister answered, and she asked him the question, and I saw the look on his face. He didn't even have to say anything, man.
What was the question?
Well, the question was, will I ever walk again? And he goes, well, it isn't impossible, but it's very difficult, man. You got to wear if they go up that high, you got to wear a strap, and actually you might be doing the osteointegration, where they drill your bone and stick a rod in you, which, your prosthetic snaps on, but it's pretty rough looking, man.
Yeah.
I've seen several people that have it. It looks way harder, right? Anyhow, we get to Monday, and they have this new fresh idea that they're going to drill the bone 4.5 inches and fill it full of antibiotics, and they're hoping that will solve the problem, and they don't have to cut off 4.5 inches of my leg, right? Well, I wake up in the ICU again, and they said there's complications. But we do believe it's going to work, and I'm still like concerned about going through all that again, and losing that much more of my leg.
Yeah.
Well, third time was a charm, man. They finished drilling it. They got everything completed, got it closed up, and they said, we think it's successful. And man, that was a really good feeling. But I will say that drilling a bone like that hurt more than cutting the leg off the first time. I don't know if it's all the nerves or what, but I mean, I couldn't even, I could barely breathe. I mean, I couldn't even move half an inch in any direction. I mean, I was basically in intense pain. I mean, I don't know that you can describe. I mean, throughout the whole process,
Yeah.
I've never really talked about it, but it's that type of pain that you can't even put it into words, you know. And it was very painful for a very long time. And then you start, you know, the phantom pain, man, it goes on and on. Some people have
Tell
it.
us about that.
Well,
Phantom pains.
it's strange. You know, they do all kinds of therapies. Like they use a mirror where they trick your mind, where you put it between your legs and you're looking at the good leg and it's supposed to help. I didn't really have much success with that. A lot of people claim they do. I mean, to me, it's kind of seems like the placebo effect or something, you know. I don't, like maybe it tricks your mind or something. You know, I'm not sure, but I didn't feel any relief. But what's I mean, it basically feels kind of like you're on fire a little bit.
Yeah.
And it comes and goes at different times of the day, but at nighttime, it's real hard to go to bed. I mean, it comes on strong. I don't know why, but like from 7 to 10, it's almost unbearable.
Are you hearing that same experience from other amputees, or is it different times for all of them?
Different for different people.
Yeah.
Some have none, not very many. And some are middle of the road, and then other people are in excruciating pain.
Did Travis Green mention any phantom pain that he experiences?
He helped me with a couple things I've never heard of.
Okay.
That I think only amputees know.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure the prosthetists know.
Yeah.
You know, I know that I'm teaching my guy stuff, and he's done hundreds of them. But
What stood out about Travis? What pointers did he give you?
what he told me that I'd never heard before, he said if you know, we wear a rubber boot that goes on our amputated limb. It goes on first. And then we put a lubricant on it, and we slide the prosthesis on, right? And then once we're in it, you know, we're doing it in the standing position. Mm-hmm. And once you're down in it good and you're seated, you put this valve in here. As you put the weight in, any air that's left in the prosthesis exits the valve, and it makes a Loctite suction. So you couldn't pull it off if you wanted to.
Okay.
And anyways, what he told me is if you take and you clip the hair shorter on this amputated limb, and if you put aloe vera on it, that you get way better grip on that rubber boot, because it's not gripping on all that hair. And I was like, man, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Nobody's ever told me that.
Yeah.
So I haven't actually done it yet. I mean, I just learned it 2 nights ago. And everything fits, or I guess I would be doing it right. But I am anxious to try that and see, because I know he lost both of his legs in 2011.
Yeah.
So he'd been at it a while.
Yes, sir.
So,
We kind of missed where and how you actually got that leg.
all right. So my brother-in-law wants me to use this place in San Antonio. I think it was UTSA, something or another. You know, he worked at that hospital for a long time. He knew all the surgeons. He knew the clinic that, you know, he even had a guy come over from there and you know, it was really helpful. The guy
What a
was
blessing
super
for him to be
nice.
in this.
He actually came while I was worried they're going to cut more of my, you know, and gave me hope and talked to me. And anyways, so, you know, after having those next 3 surgeries, so that second go round, I was in the hospital 12 days. So it was a total of 47 days and 13 surgeries. But, you know, at that point, we're probably early May or whatever. They can't even see me till like July 22nd. And, you know, I get home, I'm trying to recover from all this, right? From opening all that up again and whatnot. And as I'm talking to some different contacts, right, that are people that are amputees that are just trying to be helpful because they understand what it's like, right? So they're going above and beyond to try to reach out to you and
Yeah.
see if you have questions. Or I ended up having 3 different people tell me about this gentleman named Dave Ritchie, and he was almost in my backyard. I never had seen I didn't know he was there. I never saw a sign, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he
Didn't
was
need to be looking for it
literally
then, right?
like less than a quarter mile,
Yeah.
right? So they're like, look, man, you don't have to use a guy, but at least go learn some, let him see your situation. And so, I talked to him. They had me going on a Friday pretty late in the day. And as you said before, I had no insurance. We had decided to let that go. We had had the best insurance for years with our company, all our kids. But with the divorce and things were real tight, we both made the decision to let it go. It's just too expensive.
Yeah.
So I have no insurance when this accident happens. I go in there. He starts asking me to do different things, stand up. First thing he said is, you didn't lock out your wheelchair. I mean, that's what they teach you at the hospital. I was like, man, I got out of this thing 1,000 times already. I don't need to lock it up. I'm strong enough to just stand up, right? He kind of looked at me sideways, and then he said, well, grab these bars and do this, hop. And he just started laughing at me. And I was like, well, why are you laughing at me? I did everything you said. He said, you're a K4, man. And I'm like, what does that mean? He goes, that's the highest physical ability, which means we got to get you up and moving now, because with no insurance, even if I tell you who to get and who's the best and all this, it's going to take 2 months to 2 years for you to get a leg. And he goes, you're a perfect candidate. He goes, I'm giving you a leg. And I almost started crying. I said, what do you mean you're giving me a leg? He goes, well, I had a guy that had cancer, and he had a brand new leg, and he died. He had the leg 6 months, and his wife donated it to my business. And he goes, you're a perfect candidate. He goes, you're going to walk out of here in 3 weeks. And sure enough, I walked out of there in 2 weeks. That guy is changing lives. He was, to this day, he's exactly who he
presented himself as.
That's right. That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah. Well, I've heard his name.
What a wonderful man, and what he's doing, and his son's in school in Alabama, and he's going to follow his. Actually, the guy, his dad, I think it was diabetes. His dad lost his leg, and Dave's like 14 years old. It was a hardship on the family. He's driving him to Austin for his appointments. He didn't have a driver's. It was a hardship. And he just drove his dad. He didn't have any other choice.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's what it's like.
There you go.
When you go through something like this, you just have to figure it out, and you can't always follow all the rules,
I haven't asked you this, but do you have any idea what a leg would cost? Or the arm, the prosthetics?
I think this leg is, I think it's about 50,000, 55, somewhere in there. But the one that he wants me to get next is 150,000. It's the military X4. It'll end up being the 2027 probably Autobach, if I'm not mistaken. Anyways,
2027 what?
Autobach, that's who makes, this is a German company.
Okay.
Anyways.
Yeah, and so just so the audience knows, when we met and I saw you at Gold's Gym, less than 3 weeks ago, and I saw you visiting with some guys, and I saw everybody coming up to you, and I got to be honest, man, I've met and been around so many veterans that have amputations and prosthetics that I just assumed with the carbon fiber and the look that you were definitely a veteran. And I'm sure you get that a lot, right?
Well, I get that every day, but the other thing I get is the guy on the Gold's Gym advertisement that's jumping in the air and landing on one foot, and he looks all cool, you know.
Yeah.
He's missing the same arm and leg, and he's
Oh,
got a
really?
shaved head like
Okay.
so everyone thinks that's me, right? And I'm like,
Take that.
man, I'll take it, but it isn't me, you know.
Yeah.
But anyways, he's a real stud. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know where they filmed that, but he's got
Yeah.
the carbon fiber and he's missing the same side.
Well, man, as many guys as I've been around, and you've met Travis, you'll meet Daniel, and you'll meet some other guys here before long. But I don't think I've ever met anybody that number one is just looking to get out and meet more people after going through an accident like that, dealing with what you're dealing with. I mean, you've said yes to, and I know you say yes to whatever you can. That's good for you to get out. And I've got a lot of respect for how you're handling things and what you're doing to give back, and what we're about to do too. So yeah, man, I'm just glad we met, and I can't wait to see where this all goes from here. But I'm not at all wrapping up. I kind of want to talk about your kids too and how they handled this.
Well, they've all handled it differently. You know, some of them still can't talk about, losing their brother to this day. A few of them haven't even been to the burial site. You know, a lot of this stuff is very difficult. You know, I had another daughter get in an accident in the middle of all this.
Okay.
In a car accident, she actually hit a tree with 3 other passengers, and they're all lucky to be alive. She broke her back and 4 ribs. And I got a call at 3:30 in the morning, you know, and they basically had to put a steel rod in her back and 12 screws. So, I mean, that was quite an ordeal in itself, just after all these other things, right? And that's ironically the one that took care of me. So now the tables are turned.
Yes, sir.
And I'm in the hospital with her.
Yeah.
And we thought, well, let's share it on Facebook, man, and get as many prayers as we can, you know. That's what we did.
Yeah.
And sure enough, she had a very successful surgery. I mean, the amount of pain that she was in, she was like, Dad, I'll never know how you got through all the pain you got through. She's like, she was having a really, really hard time for quite a while, but she's doing really good now.
Good.
And she's doing her school, and actually, I think it's the night before you and I went out, I had a close couple that I met at the gym that I hang out with. They had some friends from Singapore in town, and so I just want to meet these people from across the world, you know. Yeah. And there she is. Yeah, we walk into a place, and they've got live music, and I'm like, wow, you know. So they kind of knew of her and what she had done for me and her story, so introducing, it was just like icing on the cake, really. They were like, wow, she's so beautiful. You can just tell she's special. Yeah. So, I mean, there are a lot of moments like that we need to appreciate, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, just to be able to see her and being healthy and having fun.
Yeah.
And then get to show her off. That was even cooler, right? Like, I'm so proud of her and her story and what she did for me.
Yeah. I'm sure
so
she's
it's
just
this whole thing is just an adventure. And I don't know, everybody's life's different, but there are a lot of opportunities if you allow yourself to see them. And they just keep coming, and they just keep getting better. Yeah. So I see the light on the other side of the tunnel. I think I'm through the tunnel. And it's like a little young girl I watched that had a shark attack. She lost her arm and leg just like me, but she's a right leg and a left arm, I believe. Her name's Lulu Gribben, and she's tearing it up, man. She's on Good Morning America, and she's over here, and I mean, she's smashing the golf ball, you know, on the course. And what she says that I like, she's like, I think she's only like 15 or something. How she got through all that and has a smile and shines the way she does. She's an example to all of us. But she says, after every storm comes a rainbow. That's pretty well said.
Well, you're proving that too. Yeah. What are your hopes for the future? We've talked about where you've been, what you've been through. I know there's a lot more, but what's next? What do you want to do next?
Man, that's a good question. I'm pretty tired of trying to say what I'm going to do and then be hard-headed and just go for that path. That doesn't quite ever seem to work out. I want God's plan, whatever that is. I mean, I'm open to all kinds of things. I have a buddy that is he's really a cool guy, and his family's wonderful, and they're doing a big development, and he wants me to be a big part of it, And that's what I know, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if that's what I'm supposed to do. I'm just taking it a day at a time. Then I meet you, and I've never been really one to want to speak in front of people, but I mean, this is a no-brainer, right? If this can help anyone.
Amen. Yeah.
So, we do have to face our fears, and we do, that's probably my biggest fear in life is speaking in front of people. I never once did it in school.
Yeah.
I took a 0 every year of my life.
Really?
Never once got up in front of even the classroom. I was terrified, man.
Yeah.
But, dude, they just cut an arm and a leg off. Like, that's way scarier, right? Like, so I think you can speak in a microphone. I mean, it's all about perspective.
Yeah.
And then you show me these guys and let me watch what they've done and what they've said. And it's like, wow, man.
Yeah.
How many people does that impact?
Yeah.
So, I don't know what my plan is. I'm still trying not to look too far ahead because, things still can be challenging at times, right? Like, I haven't seen 6 of my kids in 2.5 years because of this divorce, and I miss them.
So they haven't even seen, some of these haven't even seen you since the accident.
One of them I ran into at the gym 3 times.
How did that go?
Well, at first I thought it might be a setup. I wasn't sure with all of the protective orders and all the things that took place and everything. What I did know is that I was there first, and I had witnesses, and I thought I'd go to the other side of the gym to make sure, I didn't have any trouble.
Yes, sir.
But it was so good to see my son and to see that he was well. And I mean, to watch him, each time I saw him, I felt a little bit more comfortable, and to see him, how strong he is and wow. I remember taking him to tour his college,
And this one's how old?
He's 20.
All right.
If I recall. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think he's 20. He goes to TCU. They're in, Fort Worth? I think so, yeah.
Is it Denton?
That might be on the edge of Fort Worth.
It's in
college. That area. I went, but it's hard to remember all the details of all the children, right? But I know it's that vicinity.
That many, yeah.
Yeah. When I toured that school, I was just like, wow. Looking around and then hearing what it costs and stuff. Stuff blows your mind. It's like, man, these are some privileged kids to be able to.
Yeah.
What a blessing, right?
Yeah. And he works out at Gold's as well?
Well, I think he was here during the holidays. I think he spent his time over there.
I got it. Okay.
So, I went out and kind of painted the town a little bit and ran into a lot of their friends, and I'm starting to figure out things a little bit. I haven't done any of that in so long. I don't know where the hangouts are. And so now I'm figuring out, that's where the young kids are, and this is where people my age are,
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
And trying to, come out of my shell is, I guess, what I'm trying to say. I think the biggest part of it, you know, how I was saying it's psychological. When you're not comfortable with, until you got to become comfortable with yourself. Otherwise, you're not going to be comfortable with everyone staring at you everywhere you go, right?
Yeah.
And so that's really, I found the key is just learning how to accept the new you and learning how to operate the new you, you know?
Yeah.
And, but, you know, some days, I had a lot of days where you'd get pretty down, right? But then the next day, it's like you're a celebrity, right? Like some movie stars. You know, it's kind of like a roller coaster, but
Especially for the kids. I've seen two girls about the same age so far approach you and Travis. I was at the Wild Game dinner with him. And just for the audience, Travis is a Marine, EOD, that lost both his legs in 2011. Gentleman we were referring to. But I remember a little girl, just similar to what happened at Black's the other day with you, that just pointed, and next thing I know, she's down on her knees and looking at it and feeling it, and she was like, "You've got cool legs." And he's telling her about it, and then seeing her dad not know what to say, like, "Oh my God," you know, he didn't know what to say. Mom's just going like, she thought he had cool legs. And then you and I are standing at Black's barbecue, and that little girl started pointing, and I remember her mom stepping in front of her, and you're like, "No, it's okay. It's okay." And you showed her your arm.
well, I have a neighbor, they're a couple, and I see them at Gold's Gym all the time. And I've watched them with their daughter at the
Yeah.
pool, teaching her how to swim and whatnot.
Yeah.
And actually, it was the day you and I went and had lunch at Fork and Spoon, if I recall. I walk out of there, and their little girl saw me. I don't know if she'd ever seen me before.
Okay.
Of course, they want to introduce and whatnot, and I think the interaction's kind of over. I was basically about to walk away, and they said, hey, wait a minute. And she's digging, and she's like, "I have something for you," and she gives me this sticker. So I said, "Well, I'm going to stick it right here, and the next time I see you, it's going to still be there. Thank you so much." I mean, kids, they're so compassionate and thoughtful. And so now, every time I see that, I think of her, and I'm waiting till I get to see her again.
Yeah.
But it brightens your day, man.
What is it? Let me see.
It's just a little sticker, and I don't know what it is, but my granddaughter knew what it was. She goes, "Oh, that's a whatever." Some character. Or, anyways, I've got it right here.
Very cool. Give me an idea of some of the interactions that have stood out to you with people since you've had your prosthetics.
Um,
And has it been this easy to talk with people, or as long as you've had them, or is that something that's continuing to get easier?
well, I think people. I mean, there's so many, but like two that just happened, like just recently.
Okay.
You know, I was up at a local pub or bar, whatever you want to call it, right? It's right in Creekside, you know.
Mhm.
And so I met one girl there, I don't know, that had lost a son. You know, I don't remember how we kind of got on the subject, but she lost him to an ATV accident. He was 15 years old. So we really connected on that, right?
Yeah.
Now, she had lost hers, I think she said December 26, 2020. Mine was January, I'm going to quote it wrong, but I think it was January 4th of 2024. Within a day or two, it's all pretty blurry, right?
Yeah.
But anyways, so that was a pretty strong connection, you know.
Yeah.
And then another woman, I walked in there one night, and I mean, she almost come running up to me. And I thought, what in the world? She kept saying, "I want to buy you a drink." And I'm just thinking, I mean, it was like, I don't know. I didn't know her. I've never seen her or whatever.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, she's like, "I just wanted to tell you," she goes, "my brother has been an amputee for 26 years, and he rejected his leg. He's never worn it, and he goes everywhere on crutches. And to see the way you walked in here,"
Yeah.
she said, "Wow." And she just said, I just want to buy you a drink to say respect, you know.
Yeah.
So, I mean, those are a couple interactions. But, I mean,
Yeah.
there's so many.
Yeah, they happen everywhere you go. I don't see, and again, as much as I run with these guys, I don't see them get approached as much as you've been approached in the short amount of time that we've been hanging out. And you've got a piece about you. You've accepted this in a way that is almost inviting. Like, you can talk to me. So I hope you know that all these other guys are looking at you as just as much of an inspiration as you are them, and the ones you're going to meet in the future. I have no doubt.
Well, you know, what I find is when they come up and say what they say, you know, you're an inspiration, you know, typically it just inspires me more.
Yeah.
I actually feed off of them.
Yeah.
So it's like a two-way
Yes,
street,
sir.
really. Because, you know, if I was getting 12 reps in, well, now I'm doing 16. Yeah. You know, or whatever, right? I mean, it's so cool how that works.
How often
It's
are
like
you in the
get a little
gym?
pep in your step.
Yeah. How often are you in the gym?
Well, I'm going twice a day right now, but, you know, I try to hit about an hour and a half to 2 hours of weights in the morning, which is, I think, is a little more than what serious guys recommend, but I enjoy it so much. And then I go back in the evening for cardio and sauna.
Yeah.
And if I can hit a cold plunge in the middle, I might get to do that 3 times a week or something. It really helps me too. That's kind of addicting, actually. Once you can get past the initial, it becomes so refreshing, and it helps
Yeah.
with the inflammation and stuff.
Yeah.
So it gets easier and easier. I see why people do it so much.
Well, and on the same note, us going to the sauna yesterday, my brother swears by it, and now I was like, man, I think I kind of get it now.
Well, and it's a place where everyone slows down while they'll actually talk.
Yeah.
You know, the rest of the time, you could tell, I don't know, more than half the people don't want to be approached. And you can tell by their body language, right?
Yeah.
So you let them do their thing or whatever. But in there, there's some really interesting conversations to be had.
Yeah.
I've heard about all kinds of things. I actually got invited to Thanksgiving in the sauna. End up at these people's house.
And you went.
I did go because the guy was, well, where I grew up, we didn't have any black people, right? So I'm interested in the culture.
Yeah.
And I thought it was an honor that he would invite me with 40 of his family members, right?
Yeah.
So I'm thinking I'm special, and I'm sitting there, and then I see a guy I know there, and I'm thinking, well, he must be a relative, you know? And then I see another guy, and I'm like, from the gym, I'm like, wait a minute, I'm not as special as I thought. But anyways, there was 3 of us, and so cool, man. Like, the guy writes books.
Okay.
I've had people trying to tell me, hey, I should do that, you know, and
Yeah.
you know, AI will do it all, you know, just talk to it.
Yeah.
And I've thought of maybe doing that, and some say, you know, be a social media person, do TikTok,
You can do it all.
you could go any direction or all the directions. You know, I'm not sure what's next, but
Where does this piece come from?
what do you mean?
Where
Oh,
does
the
this piece you have come from with all of this?
You know, it's faith is what it is.
Yeah.
Knowing that there is a perfect plan, right?
Yeah.
And it's kind of cool not knowing what it is. You know, if you did know every detail, how much fun would that be?
Yeah.
So, you know, making your acquaintance and then, you know, meeting the 12 others you took out the other night. What a blast, man.
Yeah.
And it just keeps coming.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm sure I could have met 12 people, and I could have met another guy, maybe not like you. I mean, you know, I was thinking about this connection, and I can only think of 2 other people I've had a connection with that's similar. I've known a lot of people, you know. I built 300 custom homes. I knew every one of those doctors and attorneys, and you know what I'm saying.
Yes, sir.
And then, you know, all the people I work with, and I can count I can count them all on one hand anyways. I might be forgetting about somebody, but I don't think so. I can only think of 2 others at the moment.
Oh, man. Honored.
So I don't believe in coincidence.
Same.
And I know there's a reason we met, and I can't wait to see, just hearing about some of the things that you've done and been a part of, I can't wait to see what's next.
Same. I've told you, and just to not keep the audience out of the picture, but yeah, carry the load. We'll go to Dallas, Texas. We're gonna be surrounded by many families that have lost loved ones, whether they be veterans or first responders, and we're going to honor those families with about 15,000 other people that are walking across the nation. There'll be 5 Prevost buses with 12 people that are going to touch every state, and they're literally walking every mile through every state, do 40 to 60 rallies across the nation to raise awareness for the ones that have sacrificed their lives. And you're going to be confused for a wounded warrior up there for sure, but the way you serve, like I said, we're just, like Rick said, we're just serving in another fashion. And man, I'm grateful we met, and I'm grateful for what's coming that we don't even know. So
I'll take it.
Well, man, any last words you want to leave us with? Anything that we can help promote through the podcast? Any of these organizations we want to mention, I'm happy to put up.
Well, I'd like to mention my prosthetist. His business name is Richie Lemon Brace.
Okay.
He's got a location in Seguin and New Braunfels.
This is David Ritchie?
It's David Ritchie, and he's looking to open up a couple more locations. But he's just, what a wonderful guy. He's asked me to talk to people,
Yeah.
Would you be open to going to the hospital? I said, absolutely. Whatever I can do for what you've done for me. I mean, you're changing lives, man.
Yeah.
And so, one day he called and he's like, I got the VA up here. They can't keep up with can you come? And, you're the only guy I know with an arm and a leg that I have, and it's so close. And so I went up there, and it was pretty new into this story. I remember breaking down crying as I'm talking to these people, telling them my story, because it's pretty intimate,
Yes,
when you start reliving some of those moments. It was still pretty fresh at the time.
Yeah.
But I know that helped him. And what a way to say thank you, or just to be available. Or
You got it.
So it was just really cool to meet those people. They knew my brother-in-law, of course. So that was kind of cool. Anyways, it's all fun. I don't know how much help he needs or where I can help, but it's pretty no-brainer when it actually happens, right? Or when the opportunity presents itself.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I'm doing. I just day at a time and seeing where all this stuff leads. I'm not sure, but I know it's just getting better and better as time goes, and now I'm becoming more accustomed to how to deal with this. I mean, it changes about everything you do, really.
Yeah.
There's a lot to learn, and I don't know, I haven't stopped learning yet. You just find different ways to do things, whether it's just more comfortable or just on and on and on, really.
Yeah.
Techniques and you can pick up some good advice, man. It helps tremendously.
Yeah.
So I'm sure it's just going to get easier and easier.
Yeah, it's going to be good for everybody, no doubt. Well, man, I just want to thank you for trusting me today to sit down with me.
Well, thank
Especially
you
as
for the
short
opportunity.
a time as we've known each other. I'm honored that you said yes. I just invited you 2 days ago, so thank you.
My pleasure, buddy.
More to come.
I look forward to it.
All right, brother. Thank you.